like I would talk and then I would hear myself like 2 seconds later. I think that was happening to you earlier, right?
Yeah, that's what was happening to me, and then it went away, and then I could hear it on your end too.
Whatever. I don't understand technology at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But dude, I'm super psyched. I had no idea like that you had a background in. We're live now, by the way. Like you had a background in. I guess you could say like cell phone accessories, and then like your life, like you hit your bottom, and then all of a sudden, what, like in like 6 months, you're hitting like 33K a month with your agency or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was probably a bigger gap in like the rock bottom that I kind of hit. Like I had a bunch of stores, cell phone accessories and cell phone repair. Ended up trying to get my stores to employees for them to run, and then they just pretty much ran them into the ground. And I got a bunch of like lawsuits from employees and the United States Department of Labor and just all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was just like, I'm done with this. It cost me a lot of money and everything. So got out of that, got into music. Opened like a professional recording studio in Houston. Did that for a while.
Well, before we go into that,
yeah.
And I know my screen's fuzzy, and again, I don't understand how any of this works. Like, it's all the settings are right, and then it'll bug out. But like, tell me how you got started in cell phone accessories, because you got like up to 7 or 8 or 9 locations, right?
Yeah, 9 locations.
Like, what does that even mean? You were in like the cell phone accessory business, because all I think when I think cell phone accessories is like the mall kiosks, right? Is that not right?
And you're exactly right. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So long story short, I used to work at Sprint before that. And my dad went to prison when I was really like young, like 16, just out of nowhere. Like we didn't know, he was doing anything crazy. And then he got sentenced to 65 years. So like my life just kind of flipped upside down.
Holy crap.
Overnight. Yeah. He's actually out, by the way, which we never thought he was going to get out, but he just got out like 2 years ago, which we never thought was going to happen. But anyway, so I was working at Sprint, and I moved up to store manager really quick within the company. And then I started actually the training for becoming district manager. And then they told me, like, if you want to take this position, if we're going to start training you for it, you got to be willing to drop at the drop of, or move at the drop of a pin or something like that. And they said, if we want you to move to Ohio or California, you got to be ready to go whenever we say. Yeah. And then like just not being, in control of like my destiny like that, I was like, man, I got to do something else. So the manager I actually came in under at Sprint, he had started a cell phone accessory business in Kansas, which is where I'm from. Yeah. And he was doing really well. So I was like, okay, well, shoot, let me look into this. Then I was looking at Oklahoma, but he already had the rights for that territory. So then I was like, I'll just go further down I-35 down south toward Dallas. I tried to do Dallas, and then the corporate company, they were going to do Dallas. So then I was going to do San Antonio, checked out all the malls.
Wait, hold on. Take a step back. So you worked for Sprint, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Sprint was like, look, if you want to be general manager, we're going to have to be able to move you. And you're like, fine. And then you're like, this is cool. This is great. This is working. But holy shit, this kind of sucks. Yeah. What am I supposed to do now? Right. Exactly. And as it turns out, there was another Sprint manager that you knew that was like, oh, you should do the cell phone accessories business. Is that about right?
Yeah, he didn't tell me I should do it. I just saw that he was doing really well. And I'm one of those people that's like, well, if he's doing it, I can do it. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. So I went to the company that he was a licensee or a franchisee and met with them.
So you met with them, you had to find territories, and these were like mall kiosks or something, or like tell me more about this.
Yeah, so like them little carts and the little kiosks that you see in the mall with like, usually it's foreign people working there. But, when I was getting into it, it was pretty much all foreign people. So I was like, the white sheep or black sheep in the group, just looking real weird, like starting a kiosk. And the other thing is like my family is like, you're going from a good job at Sprint making like 70,000 plus a year. And, you're going to open a mall kiosk. Like they just looked at me like I was crazy. But yeah, so I opened up, like I said, I was looking in San Antonio. I liked it. I found a mall I wanted to do. And then just for fun, on the way back to Kansas, I drove through Austin, which is where I live now. Checked out the malls here. And that was the first time I saw an Apple store. This was like 2010. I think they only had like 30 something Apple stores. And I just kind of like fell in love with the mall. Talked to the leasing lady. She said she'd put me right in front of Apple. And the iPhone's a big phone. Yeah. And we opened up killing it. Like we had the best launch that any franchisee or licensee ever had. Like we did like 25,000 our first month. That's crazy. And stayed about like $30,000 to $35,000 a month for like a whole year at that location. So, which is crazy for a mall kiosk.
Cell phone thingies, right?
Man, and at that time it was just like screen protectors. So like I don't know if you're familiar with like Invisible Shield, Zag. So I worked for like their biggest competitor. Like the company I worked for was their biggest competitor, and we just sold screen protectors and skins for phones. That's all we did. And we did very well at it.
Let me see if I can switch my Wi-Fi. And I don't know why this is like getting all weird.
Okay.
See, I don't know how this shit works at all. I don't understand.
You went away for a second. Now you're back.
Well, whatever. All right, so it's better. So you ended up having like you were in front of Apple stores. You signed your first location, your second location, third location. How many locations did you max out
on? 9, and that was between Austin, Houston, Seattle, Washington, and Tampa, Florida. And the reason I got them like so spread out is because I was getting a pretty good reputation for like, taking stores and doing just crazy numbers with them. So like when anybody was underperforming within the company and they were at risk of losing their business, I would have the option to go out there, revamp them. And if corporate was going to take them from a licensee, I had the option to make them my stores or, give them to corporate and they'd, redistribute them to a new licensee. But I went to Seattle and they had this market there. And it was like the worst in the company. And I went, checked out the locations. They're like, what should we do? So I closed down all the other locations. We were still paying rent on, but I was like, so we could focus on this main location out there. And we actually took it within 2 weeks. It became the number one store in the company. Like I had to fire everybody, start from scratch, and really just, the customer service, all the customers, sensed it, and it just kind of like spread like wildfire. And then they're like, oh, wow, like that was pretty amazing. Like, you think you could do it again? I was like, well, we can try. So they sent me to Tampa International Plaza down there.
Yeah.
And same thing. Like it was a very underperforming store. And within a month, I made that the number one store in the company. And that one lasted 6 months before it was, knocked off the top of the, list of stores there. So
that's so fucking cool. I had no idea. Like I've seen the exact kiosks that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But at no point would I ever imagine that they're doing like $1,000 a day in sales ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy.
But it's I guess that's true, right? And did you have like a thought process behind what you did to turn a shitty store into a better store, or was it just like a gut feeling, or how did that turn out?
Man, I don't know if this is just like me kind of, my mentality. I just went in there. I made friends with like, everybody at Starbucks. I'd go into like the stores that I would normally shop at, and I would just go in there. And it's kind of weird because like I do things a little unorthodox, but I told the company like, when I go into a new mall, I go and shop at all the stores that I'm gonna shop at, spend a good amount of money, get real familiar with like certain people there. Cause then you're like, oh man, this guy came in, he does this, he bought all this, he's a cool guy. And then I tell him, come down, we're gonna hook you up. And then they just start sending me a bunch of people. So I actually got the company to reimburse me for like a bunch of money I spent at like Burberry, Nordstrom, like it's crazy. Like I got them to reimburse me for all this stuff. But basically I just kind of made a name for myself, let them know, hey, we're taking it over. It's new management, all this stuff. And then they were all happy. I hooked a bunch of people up in the mall. So that way, they were cool with me. And then, everybody wants to tell them about their new friend that owns the store and send business your way. So they want to be cool with you. So, and that's usually what happens. Like I said, I'll make a lot of friends, get them to send a bunch of business, and then it just kind of explodes from there when people get a great product and great customer service. So
that's so cool. So you end up in this really cool position where you have essentially like, I guess you could call them like mini franchises, right? Like kiosk, mall, cart type things.
Exactly.
But it all went to hell, right? Like it all like collapsed. So can you talk about that at all?
Okay, so I went out to Seattle for that company to take over that market. Went really well. Went to Tampa, took over that market. Went really well. So then I actually had started my own repair company in conjunction with this. It was like a separate entity, like it was my own business, and it was doing really well. And I paired them side by side, and the concept was working amazing, like cell phone accessories and repair. So the company that I was doing all this, turning these stores around for, they're like, hey, we want to buy your repair company and roll it out to all these other licensees. So I was like, shit, that sounds good to me. I only had like 4 stores at the time. And I'm like getting an offer like that when they could have done it on their own. Like I was pretty surprised. But they just liked how I did things. So we kind of struck a deal to where I would get equity in the whole company, the other company. And then they would get the majority equity in my repair company, where it kind of worked out to where they kind of be working together, not one entity, but they'd be under the same umbrella type of thing. So we did that. I did a lot of things on my end, going out, training people. I was scheduled to go to Russia, Brazil, like all these places we had licensees and stuff. And then I was just doing all this work, and like it seemed like there's a few things that I would ask them to get done, and like they would never do it. They just dropped the ball, and oh, we're sorry, we couldn't do that. There was like credits that I was supposed to get with like inventory and everything that I wasn't getting. So it just kind of gave me a bad taste, and it was like, if this is how you guys do business, like, I don't want to lock myself into this type of business. Like, so I actually had a bunch of, like I said, I had 9 stores. I gave all of them to existing employees when I was going to make this transition to, becoming corporate and just growing the brand.
Yeah.
And basically I just gave them the stores. They would pay me like monthly for it, and not even that much. Like it was, they'd end up paying me like a couple $1,000 a month for a year, and then the store would be theirs. So like they're getting opportunities they'd never get in their life, because they don't have the money to start one.
Yep.
But the problem with that was, they never worked to get the money to start one, so they didn't really have the business knowledge for it. So when they start making, $1,000 a day, they're partying their money away.
Yeah.
When payroll comes, they don't pay their employees and inventory, and then they can't, and then rent, and then all these things were still in my name. So we never got them we didn't get them transitioned out in time. Like it was like 2 months, like from me giving the store to them, that all this stuff started happening. Like, they couldn't make rent 2 months later. I'm like, this store makes a ton of money. Like, how are you guys not doing that?
Right.
So they'd shut down, then the malls would be calling me because, I'm the point of contact for all this. And then I got to fork out the money for that. Their employees didn't get paid. I got audited by the United States Department of Labor and had to pay back wages for employees that I wasn't even technically, in charge of anymore. And then it's just like, I'm just done with this. Like, I want to just get out of this. Like, it was just a lot of things went bad at once. And I was just like, let me just, it's too stressful on my life. I can do anything and make it work. So let me just get out of this. So,
that sucks like a lot.
Yeah, it was
like,
rough.
So between when you said, all right, I don't want to be in the part of this business anymore, I might as well just give it to the employees, and they're going to pay me just like they would if I sold them the business, they're going to pay it over time. That was the deal, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The employees were just parting with the money because they just didn't have the background or the business knowledge to say, just have $1,000 in the cash register doesn't mean you actually have $1,000. You got to pay for other shit, right? They just didn't think of it.
Yeah. And I'll take a little bit of the blame. I have, the entrepreneurial mind, and I just grew up a little differently. So I kind of, at that time, I was still pretty young. Like, this is probably when I was like 25. And, I didn't think that people thought like that. So like, I didn't even think to be training them on this type of thing. So again, I'll take a little bit of the blame there. But yeah, it was just a rough situation all around.
And so that was like the peak drop, you know what I mean? Like, that's where like shit hit the fan, everything went bad. That's when I think you were like almost evicted out of your house or something like that.
No, I got evicted out of my house.
Oh, you were evicted. Oh, okay. Yeah, you totally were fucking evicted.
Yeah,
and
it was a high-rise condo in Houston, nice on the 28th floor, overlooking the city. Like, it was a beautiful place. But yeah, I mean, all that stuff happened. I got audited by the IRS in this time too, and had a huge tax bill to pay. Like, just a lot of stuff at once, and it was just like life just flipped upside down for me. And like I said, I sold everything I could to keep my rent paid as long as I could. And then I finally just couldn't pay it. So I got evicted. And yeah.
What ended up happening to the 7, 8, or 9 franchises? Did they just they couldn't pay their rent, so the company took them back? Or like what ended up happening to those places?
So the majority of them closed down. There's one in International Plaza. I haven't checked in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's still there. And then there was a couple in Houston, actually a little suburb of Houston, Baybrook Mall. I actually ended up giving those to some different employees for them to take back over. And they're actually still running to this day. They've opened up more locations and they're doing really well. So there's like maybe 3 stores left out of these 9, but the majority of them closed down. And yeah,
no more. Well, that's like I have my own like everyone's got the crash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely sucks. But looking back, there's always lessons. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think what's going to be interesting about your story is you had a big transition, and you got your first start with, I think, Dan Henry, Facebook Ads for Entrepreneurs, right? Just like I did. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how did you transition from, oh my God, I just got evicted, to Facebook ads? What was that like?
So there was a period in time there. So like when I got evicted, before I got evicted, I was working out with like a celebrity personal trainer in Houston. And I only say that because started working out with a bunch of the guys in hip hop in Houston, like Slim Thug, Zero, the bigger names in Houston. And then, Slim actually invited me out to the studio, and that's when I kind of fell in love with music. And I started getting into the music scene. So I did that for a couple years, ended up making some good friends. We opened up a studio, ran that for a little while. And like I said, that was one of those things where like, we were working with like a lot of the big names in music, like especially like the big names today. Like I personally didn't, but like my producers at my studio, we did the beat for Yosemite on Travis Scott's Astro World album, which went platinum.
So cool.
But with the music in this life, like we were in Third Ward, which is not the best area in Houston. If you know anything about Houston, it's everything people rap about, but like literally people were getting shot like at the studio, like in the area of the studio, like there's bullet holes like every other week. And it was just like the least money I'd ever made in my life. It was good money, but like coming from 9 stores and, the stuff that I was doing, it just wasn't worth it to me to, my actual life is on the line. Like there's been a couple times we had to lock down the studio and, wonder what's going to happen outside, which is, kind of crazy. So yeah. I just got tired of that. I'm just like surfing the internet and stuff. I do a lot of graphic design. I've built web pages, nothing like crazy, WordPress and stuff I'm really fluent with. But, and then somehow I saw some Dan Henry ads, did his little mini courses and stuff like that. And I'm like, this makes complete sense. Like I can do this. So I tested it out on myself, like, cause I have the cell phone repair background. And this is, like I said, I lost my apartment, I wasn't doing too well. So I was like, let me run some ads for myself to do like phone repair. I spent like $15 in ads over 3 days and made like $300 or $400 in like phone repairs. And I was like, I can do this for businesses.
That's so cool.
So then, so like I'm hustling to make money, doing whatever I can to, try to finance doing this. Cause like I said, I lost everything. And then I'm trying to hit up businesses. I'm trying to research all the ways you can hit up businesses, cold emailing, I'm cold calling, I still had some nice clothes. I would dress up, have my little portfolio. I'd walk into these businesses and they're pretty much telling me, get the F out of here and like stuff like that. So I'm just like, how am I not able to do this? Like I see all these people making all this money and stuff. Then I found this group, actually, Facebook ads, Scaling Secrets. And then another one. Yeah. And then Alex Breddingham's course. I got to give a shout out to Alex Breddingham because, his course was cheaper at the time for me. So it was easier to get into. So I got into that. Learned a lot. He actually taught the value videos, which I don't know if anybody doesn't hear, but like, make the little video audit and send it to him via Facebook Messenger. And I landed my first client doing that finally after like, man, it was probably like a year, to be honest. I don't know. It was like 6 months of hardcore trying, but it was probably about a year time, like from when I learned how to do the ads to actually landing a client. And then the first client I landed ended up being a very prestigious doctor. He referred another client. They did a seminar this last month in Nashville. I flew out there and it's all 7-figure practices for chiropractors.
So cool. That's the big break. That's awesome.
It was a huge break. And then ever since that, there was a manufacturer there for like a body contouring machine that was really impressed with like the results we were getting. So now like we're their recommended, agency for advertising their products. So I'm literally getting like, 3 to 5 people a day wanting to sign up. I have 48 leads right now, like hot leads, people that have reached out to the company looking for marketing. And then he's just dispositioned to us to follow up with this week. So, I made $1,700 in February. Not that much. That was like my first client. They were on a trial and now they're on $2,500 a month. March, I thought I went from 1,700 to 10K to 30K, but I realized that I went to 10K in March by like the 15th. And then the last week of March, I did like 28K. So like I did $38,000 in March, like just nuts. And I'll probably, as long as I can facilitate it all, I should do, around 100,000 this month, just based on the numbers that we're seeing, like all these leads, and we're closing like 90% of them. We should have a crazy, crazy month this month.
That's fantastic. So all of this is because you got that one big break with the one guy, it worked, and then he invited you to go to a thing, right?
Yeah. And I did get a few more like clients this last month through value videos that I'd sent previously. And then they finally reached out to me. I signed one of them, got them great results. And with 2 weeks, they referred another one to me, like, up in New Jersey. And then she referred another one to me. I just signed on and starting ads for today. So I've had like actually 4 people refer me people now. And, they all love me.
And these are all chiropractors.
I have, I think 2 people that are not chiropractors, but the rest are all chiropractors.
Are you seeing some general themes with what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong with chiropractors? And the reason why I bring it up is because everyone does $21 specials, then their chiro drops them after like 2 weeks. Is that the same thing you're doing, or do something totally different?
No, so I like to stay around the $70 to $100 price point on initial offers. So whatever we're advertising, I don't do less than $69, actually the least amount that we do. But this way, one, you filter out a lot of the people that are able to afford $21, but not anything higher than that, because a lot of those people come in and they're not going to buy bigger packages. And that's the biggest complaint I get with all the chiropractors that I talk to. That's why it's so easy to sign them. They're like, yeah, we get all these leads and, they're prepaying and everything, but, they don't buy any bigger packages. I'm like, well, it's kind of like the Groupon syndrome. They come in for a deal, they don't want to buy a full price package. They can't afford it. They came in because they could afford the deal. Yeah. So I let them know, we do a higher price point, which helps weed out people in the beginning. But even if it is a lower quality lead that comes in and they don't buy a bigger package, they're still making 3-4 times as much as they would on the one. So it's a little more worth their time. So if I send them, I'm averaging 100, at least 100 leads per location per month. Some are seeing 150. And I always tell them, I'm honest with them, about 30% of these people are actually going to come in. You're not going to see a huge amount of these people come in. We're going to do everything we can to increase that number. We may see up to 50%, but it's about 30 people are going to come in out of 100. And about 20 to 40% of those will buy bigger packages, depending on what your upsell is and how you position it. And they're pretty cool with that, because if 30 people come in at, $89, $99, the marketing is almost paid for itself. And then they just upsell one person and we're at a positive ROI.
And I was about to say, and that's the difference between what you're doing and what other people aren't. What other people are doing, and this is to their mistake, is just trying to get people in the door. What you're saying is we're trying to get shit sold. And it just so happens one of these 100 people are going to do it. And not all 100 people are going to do it. Out of the 100, maybe 30 going to walk in and maybe 2 or 3 going to buy. Are you okay with those numbers? And they say yes. And the reason why those numbers work for you is because they're saying it's $60 for the offer or whatever, right? Not the $21.
Yep.
Interesting. And it's just the same offer that you're just charging $70 for, or are you changing up the offer altogether?
To be honest, most of my locations, we run pretty much the exact same offer. The only variations are some people use different technologies. So of course we'll switch it to accommodate the different technologies. But man, I got our ad that's been running for 3 months for my first client. That's the same ad I'm running for, my new clients. It's killing it. I started a campaign last night. We're at 17 leads already and 4 booked appointments. So
that's so fucking cool, dude. I'm so happy for you. And so one of the big things, so we mentioned in the bullet points, and I'm trying to use this to guide the conversation. We mentioned there's 4 things you've learned about running ads for chiropractors. One of them was simply charging more money in that Facebook ad, right? But is there other things that you've learned by running ads for chiropractors, like just saying, call them back 3 times or it's on you, or do you have a follow-up system, or what are some other things that people should know about running ads for chiros?
Okay, yeah. So chiros, especially the bigger chiros out there, they do a lot of different things. We specialize specifically with weight loss, body contouring. So we get in the door with that. We know it very well. So our offers work. Our emails are great. The follow-up sequence is great for that. I have a dedicated person that I just hired this last month that follows up with text. So we send automatic text messages, as soon as somebody opts in, which I'm sure everybody does. But I have somebody on the other end that's keeping up with those all the time and, messaging people back. So they'll message, say, oh, thank you, and this and that. Or, I can come in Tuesday or Wednesday, and then she'll follow up and, add a real good personality to it. Okay, great. Let us check the schedule. We'll reach back out to you. I hope you're having a great day. Stuff like that. Just add a good personality. And then we collect as much data as we can and relay that to the front desk. And then they'll call and reach out. Or lately what we've been doing is we'll have a acuity scheduler and with a link, and they have to pay to schedule. So she'll engage with these people. They give a date, and then we'll send them a calendar and say, hey, okay, cool. Looks like we do have something. Here's the link. Go ahead and book it so we can reserve your spot. And we're starting to get a lot more prepays because of that. But the more work you can take off of these chiropractors' plate, the more worth it is to them. Because the biggest thing that I hear is we're getting all these leads. And one, either they're low quality, or 2, man, we can never get a hold of them. I got to pay my staff to call these people a million times or text them and follow up. And, I tell them, we'll text and follow up. We'll do everything we can to basically when you call them, they're ready to book and ready to pay you money. We'll try to take all the rest of the headache out of it for you.
That's so effing cool. What you've done, and I don't know if this was purposeful or by accidental, but I was on the same journey as you on right now, which is just keep trying to solve the next problem, right? Like, yeah, you don't have a person texting back, fine, we'll do it. You don't know how to like call them back, fine, we'll do it. Whatever problem you're having, fine, we'll do it in exchange for money. And what you've discovered is like you're climbing that CMOO ladder, right? Like all you're doing is just charging more to solve more problems.
Oop, I lost you.
You know, one of these days I'm going to figure out technology.
Okay, you're back. You're back.
One of these days I'm going to figure out how to do this darn thing. Like my internet all of a sudden got a lot better and I didn't touch a darn thing. All it did was disconnect for like a half second. Yeah, so you're climbing that CMOO ladder. Now, was that purposeful? Like you walked in saying, hey, we're going to do all this stuff, or was it like a learning curve for you?
Oh, it was absolutely a learning curve. So like when I landed my first client that happened to be like a chiropractor, and you know, they specifically did like laser lipo, the first client that I landed. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about that. So like I was happy I got a client, but then I was like, oh crap, like you know, I don't know anything about this. So I had to learn it all. And then, you know, once I learned it, and actually big props to the med spa master class and, you know, slide deck that you have in here.
Yeah, Chris, Trinity, and Simon. Yeah,
that thing helped me immensely, because as soon as I bought your course, actually, I read, that was the first thing I read and went through.
Perfect.
And implemented it the same night, and we went up like 300% in leads the next day. And then that's when they were like, wow, this is awesome. Like, okay, you finally getting it dialed in. And then I was starting to see that they were having trouble contacting them. So I was like, well, shoot, let me see what I can. Cause I didn't want to lose this client. This is my first client and I wasn't making any money. Like, you know, my mom was helping me pay my bills like a few months ago. So I, you know, I'm trying to see, you know, what they're having problems with, because I don't want to lose this client. Like I can't lose this client. It's my first one. So, you know, again, we started implementing, I was texting them at first. Now, like I said, I hired somebody to do that because I got too many locations now. Mm-hmm. And then we were getting people to book, and then we weren't getting people to show up. So then I was like, oh, we got to get them to prepay. So, you know, let's implement this acuity scheduler. And like you said, just really trying to solve every little problem I could. And then as we fine tune it, you know, more people are hearing about this and, you know, all the stuff that I do, and they're like, oh, that sounds good. So.
And now you're charging more money. You have a higher dollar offer. You're getting higher quality leads and more clients that want to pay you more money over time. That's like everything that I've been taught, it should have been the opposite. Like when you charge less, more people want to pay you money. No, when you charge less money, fewer people want to pay you money. And it makes no sense at all, but that's exactly what happens. And so have you discovered that like, as you sign on more people, you're steadily increasing your prices? Or is your plan to just like get as many clients as you can at like the 3K a month mark? Or what's your thoughts about that?
So, I'm trying to stay, like I just went up. I was $2,500 a month. I went to $3,300 a month now that I'm getting all these referrals. I'm going to gradually go up as, you know, my system improves. Like, you know, we're incorporating that text thing, and now we're getting more prepays, more people showing up. So it's worth more. So now eventually, you know, I want to add like, you know, where we can actually call and reach out to these leads for you. But I'm just going to add more things that are going to be just more comprehensive service. And then I'll gradually increase the price. But like you just mentioned, like when I was sending all these videos out and trying to get these people to sign up with me, I was at $1,500. And then when this guy, my first client, reached back out to me, you know, I was so confident because I had talked to so many people that didn't sign up, but I knew what they were going to say. So like the conversation with him was different. Like I sounded like an expert, even though I'd never done it before for a business. So when he asked how much, I said 2,500, and I just decided to try it. And he was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And it was like, when I said a higher price, they took me more serious. They're like, oh, well, I had a guy who's 1,500. So, well, you must be really good if you're charging that much more and you're saying it's worth it. So took me more serious, signed up on the spot. So it was like,
that's so absolutely fantastic. And I see my internet's going shitty again, but I'm pretty sure you can hear me anyway, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So your plan, so in February you did like $1,500, $1,700, and you're ballparking $100,000 before the end of this month.
Yep.
Mind fucking blowing. That's so fucking cool. And to just kind of like go back a bit, you sign on your first client after getting rejected like 5, 10, 15 times. You said, screw it, it's not 1,500, just 2,250. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. You started running ads. You realized people weren't like calling. So you had to figure out how to text them and get them to sign up, but they weren't signing up, but they were signing up, but they weren't booking. So you had a booking thing, but then they weren't paying or showing up. So you had to figure, you were trying to solve each problem along the line. And then that first client, am I correct? That first client invited you to a conference, right?
Yeah, so he had a business partner in Nashville. So he recommended me to him. He signed up with me too. And then they're like, oh, we're doing this seminar. It's going to be our first one. You should come out. There's going to be a lot of other, chiropractors there. So I was like, done. It was expensive for the plane. So it was like $800, but I was like, I'm gonna make that back that day. Like, so, I went out there and it was great. Like I got to present in front of all of them, and just like how you talked about doing the Chamber of Commerce presentation, just be educational. That's what I was. Got table rushed at the end, and the rest was history.
Isn't that like a crazy, cool experience of like, I just talked a little bit, now people are coming to me, and you're like, this is the dream. Yeah.
Yep.
That's so cool. So you focused on chiropractors, you focus on getting people to pay and show up. But you mentioned you have a team or something like that, right? Can you talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, so I probably have a little more unconventional of team. Like I decided not to outsource much stuff yet. I actually just hired, I used to have an assistant when I had all the 9 stores. So she's now part of my team. She's the one that's text messaging people. And basically she, I told her, I was like, let's see how it goes. I'll pay you, this a month right now. As I progressed, and as long as we're getting people to renew, then we can make this your full-time job, and I'll give you more duties and stuff like that. I have another guy that used to work for me. He helped run some of my stores. So I just moved him down to Austin and got him helping me with the build outs and stuff, which he'd never done before, but I just taught him how to do it, and I'm paying him per build out. He's liking it. He's liking the internet lifestyle to where we can work from anywhere. Yeah. And then I got another girl that I'm training to help with campaigns, and then she's going to be helping with follow-up as well, because we're getting a lot of clients. And for one person to be texting all these potential customers, the leads, it's getting to be, kind of hard to do that. So it's just 4 of us now.
That's fantastic. And so when you say texting back, are you using like a ClickSend setup or something like that? Or is that a totally different program for you?
No, I use ClickSend right now. I bought High Level, and I'm still learning it. To be honest, I haven't had time to learn it. So that's another thing I'm paying my guy. And actually shout out to David Murillo in this group. He's been very helpful with High Level and teaching my guy Ian, all about it. So they're getting it up and going, and I can't wait to start shifting people over to that. So
that's so fantastic. And I do want to say the High Level guy who built it is actually in the group. His name is Robin Alex, just giving credit where credit is due.
Shout out. High Level is phenomenal. So if anybody's on the fence, it sounds expensive. It's really not. Like I'm paying $300 a month in Zaps right now. So it's absolutely worth it. So.
Yep. And so you really put yourself in a position where your people are sitting next to you as close as possible. You're paying per build out. And so let me ask you this, with that build out, is it just like the landing page Acuity, or are you doing like the ManyChat John Williams bot thing where they schedule right there, something totally different?
No, eventually we'll get into bots. To be honest, I'm still doing traditional landing page style setup. So like with a build out, we do landing page, text sequence, email sequence, and then Acuity scheduler. And, we embed that in our landing pages, and we send that out via text message too. So.
It's so funny. And I don't mean as bad as it sounds, but marketers are not supposed to be massively creative, right? Like we're good at putting stuff together and making shit work good to great, not brand new. Like we should not be coding or inventing at all. Like if you think you can be creative in your way of marketing, you're probably going the wrong direction. Like you just have to be on the execution part of this, I think, right?
Let me actually elaborate on that, because that's when I joined your group, I was trying to be real creative, because like I said, I got a pretty big background in design and graphic design, and so I built a whole beautiful, nice, modern looking funnel. It was like, oh, this
nobody cares. Kill.
Nobody signed up for that. I got like 4 leads in like 2 weeks, and I was just like, Jesus, like this sucks. As soon as I shifted back to that. To me, it looks crappy. Like from design standpoint, it's just a crappy, basic little landing page, and that thing converts like freaking crazy. Like it's just like, okay, I wasted hours of designing funnels when I could have just listened and it would have worked.
That's so absolutely fantastic. And so I want to say, just like for everybody watching this, the 4 things that you mentioned about running ads for chiropractors, one is charge more and you'll be taken more seriously, right?
Absolutely.
Number 2, have a higher price point with your offer. And number 3, tell them like out of the 100, maybe 30 are going to show up. And out of the 30, maybe 2 or 3 are going to buy your expensive stuff. But your goal isn't to get all these leads to convert. Your goal is to make sales. And all of a sudden your client's jumping down. Is there a 4th one that we didn't cover, or we just like really only should be 3?
I think it's pretty much 3, but right. Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is, like I said, just be honest with how the leads work. When you guarantee a certain amount of leads, which helps, having that guarantee actually helps too. So, if we don't hit the mark, we're going to run it for you next month, and we'll do that again until you get tired of us or we get tired of you. They love that. They always laugh, and then they're like, okay, sounds good. And like I said, just be honest with the numbers. I'm gonna get you this many, 30% come in, 20 to 40%, depending on how good you are at sales. But either way, it's still profitable. And, every month we, improve everything that we can to increase that number more and more. So as long as their expectations are set properly, they're usually pretty happy. And then the higher offer definitely helps a lot because they'll make their money back. They're always concerned with how much they're paying you. So when you can charge more and, just by people paying the initial consultation or whatever it is, if they can get their money back just on that, it's a no-brainer for them.
And my hypothesis, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, is that simply because you're charging, let's just say $60 instead of $21, are you just running your targeting everyone within like 3 or 4 miles? Or are you getting funky with like interest with back pain and stuff like that?
I don't really mess with interest. I used to,
right?
It didn't work out very well for me. Like I thought I knew what people would, these people are going to like Facebook knows. Like let Facebook do its job. So.
Yeah. It's everybody within a serviceable zone and then just let the ad and the price point filter them out. That's perfect. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We mentioned something about your I don't care approach that made you 15 grand a month. What does that mean? I don't care approach.
Okay. So, when everybody's first starting out, like, I even started my own little miniature training, which I haven't really put as much attention as I'd like to on it, but I teach people how to land clients and how to talk to people. And what my mistake was when I was first starting out is like, I got to make this work. Like, I want this to be my full-time job. I have to sell you. Like, if I get you on the phone and like people sense that, like, shark and blood infested waters, like you just want that sell. And I wasn't closing anybody like that. But now that like, once I got clients and like, I was making enough money, my bills were paid, I was living comfortably this last month. And I had all these leads. Like I knew that, if I don't close this guy, I don't care. Cause I have 10 more people. Like I'm going to close somebody. So, I started talking to them just different. I let them know, if it's cool for you, cool. If not, no worries, just let us know. And I'm like, if you wait too long, I might have to put you further back in the queue as far as the build out, but just let me know. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. And like I said, I just like I didn't care if you gave me your business, like I'm going to get business somewhere else. But they can sense that if I have to sell you type of thing. And that just kind of throws a lot of people off. But when you just are nonchalant and, you don't care if you sell them, they kind of feel like, damn, he must know his shit. He must be doing very well. He doesn't care if he sells me. Like, because a lot of these chiropractors have very big egos too. Like, just like you and I, like, I want your business. They feel like, oh, you want me to, buy from you. Like, and then when you don't come off like that, they're just a little taken back by it. And it's almost like when you tell them, okay, we're going to take this deal away. And they're like, no, I want it. So,
no, don't, but please let me give you money.
Yeah, please let me buy from you. Yeah.
That's so cool. And so you end up putting yourself in this really cool position where because you're charging more and because you have a higher dollar offer and because you kind of like don't care, they're coming to you. And you're not running any ads or client acquisition or anything like that. These are all just through referrals because you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I stopped prospecting. And actually another big take. I don't know if I even mentioned this in the little notes that I sent to you, but so I have a doctor on my payroll now. So like I'm getting so many leads that I have one guy that he's trying to transition from practice to more online stuff, like teaching chiropractors and stuff like that. He wanted to run his own marketing for chiropractors, but didn't know the marketing side. He just had a big network. So now me and him have kind of partnered up. So like all these leads that we're getting, I have them talk to him first. So he talks to them like, hey, I'm a client, we really improved this on both ends. It works very well. And then he only sends me people that are ready to buy. So like, and every time I close one, I give him $800. So I sent him $8,000 this last month.
So that's your referral person, right? Like that's what we talked about in the course. Like find the person that you're going to pay to introduce you to everybody possible.
Yep.
That's so effing cool. It blows my mind that somebody can go from making $1,700 in February to saying, with all honesty, like I'll probably be making $100,000 before the end of this month. And that's absolutely mind blowing. And so do you ever freak out about having like too many clients, too many customers, anything like that? Or how do you handle that thought process when you've got like 20, 30, 40, or 50 clients?
Yeah, so it is kind of like, once a day, I'll probably like kind of freak out. I'm like, oh my God, I got a lot of campaigns to do. Like, I can't even remember this doctor's name. Like, so, but at the end of the day, like to me, And it may be just because like I have that background in sales and running like actual brick and mortar businesses and all the stuff that goes along with that. But like, to me, this isn't like that hard of work. Like, you know, if you just follow up with them, you set their expectations properly, you let them know, hey, it may take me 7 to 10 days to build this out because we have a pretty big workload. You know, I can knock out a campaign in a night. So, you know, it doesn't take me 7 to 10 days, but it gives me plenty of time to do this. So I just know my limitations, and I don't really try to press myself beyond that. So even with like the doctor that's reaching out to these leads for me and closing them before they even talk to me, I let them know like, hey, if you have 3 people that say yes today, we're done. Like we'll close people tomorrow. Like I only want to average 3 new campaigns a day. You know, if I'm feeling better or something about it, I'll tell you, you know, close more. But if not, you know, 3 a day is what I'm comfortable with. And then until I build out my team a little, you know, bigger, I might transition just into sales and have like a team that does everything on the backside. Cause like, I mean, I'm in a group right now with 700 doctors that's referring people to me, a manufacturer that's referring 1,000 doctors to me, another group is 400 doctors. Like I'm at no shortage of business. So that's why, like, I kind of have that I don't care approach, because, you know, if half of these doctors don't want to go with me, you know, I'm going to get, if I get 10% of all these like possible leads, like I'm in pretty good shape. So
I'm so happy for you. This is so cool. And so do you ever like, so trying to get into a little bit more specific. So do you like pitch them the wallet out campaign? Do you like do the Sam Ovens thing where like you crystallize their pain? Like what is the conversation like when you're on the phone and then they say hello? Like how do you get them to pay you money right then and there?
So I just ask them, I kind of go through some of the onboarding questions, but I kind of just make it cut and dry. So it's like, okay, cool. What are you guys doing for digital marketing right now? Oh, okay. You have another company. What are they doing? How do you like it? Oh, well, they give me, you know, this many leads. These are prepaid, but we're not selling, you know, upselling any. Okay, cool. So here's what we do. We don't focus on, you know, guaranteeing you a certain amount of prepaid, but what we do focus on is, you know, as much volume as we can. So we have 2 packages. I have a smaller package. It's $2,500. We guarantee 30 leads. With my $3,300 package, I guarantee 50, but I let them know with my small package, we average 30 to 60 leads a month. You know, and I tell them the same thing, the numbers, like 30% of these people are going to come in, 20 to 40% are going to buy. It's still positive ROI, even if you're horrible at sales. And same thing with the bigger one. You know, my bigger package, we guarantee 50. You're going to see 50 to 100. I have some locations that'll do 150 leads this month. Same thing. It's a numbers game. You're going to see 30% come in, 20 to 40% are going to buy bigger packages. You know, it's just how much volume can you handle? Then they, with my chiropractors, because they usually all have dealt with a ton of marketing companies before, you know, they ask you what makes you different. And I just tell them we have a crazy follow-up sequence. We, you know, we send out text messages to these people. They're very personal. It's coming from a local number. So it looks like it's you or your staff. And then we actually have somebody on the backside engaging for you. That way we can take as much work out of your staff's hands as possible. So that way when they're ready to come to you, basically they're calling because they want to book an appointment and they're ready to give you money. So we try to eliminate all the questions. I tell them about call rail and how we record the calls. And again, I really just kind of tell them what they want to hear, but it's all like stuff that we're actually doing. We record all the conversations and interactions because we know every area is different. So this is another thing. Try to distinguish yourself about what you're doing and how each individual business is different. Because a lot of these chiropractors, there's a couple big companies out there marketing for them, and they use a cookie cutter approach. They'll use the same exact landing page with the same pictures of doctors that aren't even at their practice. And, you know, that's what they're selling them. So I let them know, you know, we make everything individualized or unique to your practice. And then we record all these interactions because we know every, you know, area or every demographic is a little bit different. So if they're asking questions that we haven't addressed in our ads or our ad copy or anything, we're going to constantly adjust and basically try to take out all the questions and concerns before they come to you. So that way, when they do come to you, it's like, hey, I want to come in tomorrow at 2:00. Here's my credit card. So I just tell them all that and they like it. You know, I tell them we're constantly, you know, monitoring and optimizing, you know, improving everything that we can, you know, just to, you know, we want to make you money. And the other thing I do is I tell them we don't do contracts, we do results. So we know that if we're getting you good results, you're going to renew with us again. So there's a big push for us to do our job correctly and, you know, make you guys money. Because if we don't make you money and you're paying us, that doesn't work for you. And, you know, that's not going to work for us. We want to make you money and we want to make money. So we're going to do everything we can to do that and make money together.
Absolutely fantastic. What I really liked, by the way, and this is the difference between, I guess you could say, all the other marketers and what you're doing. You very clearly said, I want to take the work off of your plate. And up to where, I guess you could say like 3 or 4 months into my journey, what I was being taught was they fucked up the leads. They didn't call them back. They didn't do their job. Just yell at them, right? And I was like, but what if we did? Like, what if we got paid to do their job, right? How much more money would we make? And that's when I figured out that the call recording, which apparently is like an industry standard, we just took the same course I didn't know. The sneaky surveys, the welcome text, the soap opera sequences, the customer research, all that follow-up, that is us taking off their plate. And when you can tell somebody, I want to make you more money and make you work less, they're super psyched to try you out. And that puts you in a really cool position where you can just charge more. And then you're good, right? So that's absolutely fantastic. I do want to say for everybody, we are going to be moving the Q&A and doing a strategy session call that Jeff has agreed to do 3 15-minute phone calls. You're okay with that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So if you've got any questions, now is the time. Drop them in the chat, and we're going to spend some time going over them. This interview has been absolutely fantastic. And I see some questions right here. Jay says, Jeff, are you doing any sneaky surveys or welcome texts or anything like that?
I'm doing just the typical sneaky survey. So like, I think it's like 15 or 16 days. I put it a little bit longer just because I noticed that the clients that I get are booking, sometime within 2 weeks. And a lot of times when I was sending out the sneaky survey, they hadn't come in yet. So I pushed it back a little further. But basically saying, hey, it's, Lisa is my lady that, or my girl that sends out the text messages and replies to everybody. So it's, hey, it's Lisa again with whatever, business we're acting as, and just wanted to follow up and see if you made it in for your session. If so, how was your experience? Please tell me. And then, they'll, sometimes they'll respond. A lot of times they don't, but that's kind of my version of the sneaky survey.
Have you found anything like massively mind blowing where like, I can't believe this client is doing it, or wow, this is working for them or something like that? Like the reason why I can bring it up, because I was doing Facebook ads for dentists. It was a referral. I paid the 20% and we were doing a very high price point. It was like $70 for like a cleaning a super rich area. And then people started showing up and booking. Turns out the dentist was just closed on Monday and he didn't tell me. So we had people booked for Monday showing up, business is closed, right? So did you ever find anything weird like that at all? Or has it just been like pretty normal?
It's been pretty normal. Yeah, I haven't found anything weird like that before.
Okay.
Perfect. I've been pretty lucky. Right? Maybe just because I've only, I'm 45, maybe 50 days into my Facebook ads journey. I got my first client February 13th, so I don't have a lot of data. I just blew up fast. So. Fantastic.
Let's see what else is going on here. Can you talk more about that value video? What was that involved? And that was how you got your first client, right?
Yeah. So again, shout out to Alex Bredingham. What he'll teach you to do, and Dan Henry kind of taught you to look for people on Groupon as well. But find people that are advertising. Basically, especially Groupon's a great one. And what I was doing, I was targeting people on Groupon. I would go to their Facebook page, but I would make a video, just a Loom video with my little, picture in the bottom. And then just kind of let them know like, hey, I found you on Groupon. What we do is we take these same type of offers, we put them on Facebook. The reason we do Facebook is because it's not known to be a bargain hunting platform. With Groupon, you got people looking for deals and you're competing with other businesses. So it's kind of a race to the bottom as far as pricing goes. And on top of that, you're not getting good quality leads. They're Groupon customers. When they come in, their Groupon's gone. They're back to Groupon looking for another one. And then the other thing is Groupon takes a lot of money after they make you discount your services already. So just by running this on Facebook, you're going to get double what you're making on Groupon. The quality of customer is going to be a lot better. And it's a lot broader audience because there's 2.2 billion people on Facebook. There's 50 million people on Groupon. And obviously those aren't all in your city, but I'm sure the statistics are pretty similar. So I pretty much go over that. I actually got a customer this last month. I sent a minute-long video, just laid it out there like that. I was like, we do this. And another thing that helped me is like I kind of productized my services. So like my company's Plus Plus Marketing, but I pitched the new patient system, and shout out to Nick or Nicholas Corum for that. I actually kind of copied his thing and it's working very well for me. But when you're not just another digital marketing person selling digital marketing services, you actually have a new patient system or whatever's relative to, the new gym member system or whatever. When it's specific to their niche and you can convey that and you have knowledge in that field, like I'll always mention, I know about these technology types, so they know that what you're talking about. And when they sense that you're an actual expert with their specific type of business, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it's pretty easy. But with the value videos, I just convey the differences between Groupon or what they're doing and what it is on Facebook and why it works so well. If you want to know more, I can build you out a free demo. Let me know. If not, thank you for your time. I wish you success in your business. Like, again, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if you hit me back. If, I don't say that, of course, but it's just like the mentality I have. I'm gonna send it out there, let you know what's out there, because you may not even know about this type of service. If you want it, let me know. I'll build you out a demo. We can talk. If not, great. Hope you do $1 billion.
Very cool. I like that. Hope you do $1 billion.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring the sucker to a close. We got about 5 minutes left. For everybody watching, just hashtag JeffMyFace, and he and I will pick 3 people to spend 15 minutes on the phone between you and Jeff Lopez. You can ask all the questions either in a group conversation or one-on-one. So just hashtag JeffMyFace, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. Got a couple other questions, and we'll bring the sucker to a close. Quincy says, Jay says again, do you have like a tech stack that you use, like ClickFunnels and like CallRail and ClickSend? Like, what are all those like technologies that you're using time and time again? Do you know all of them, or is it just like?
Yeah, so ClickFunnels, of course, CallRail, ClickSend, ActiveCampaign, and Zapier. That's pretty much it. Oh, and Acuity, I'm starting to use that pretty much with every client. That's really helping with prepays. But I will be switching everything over to High Level. I can't speak, highly enough about High Level. It's very robust. I'll probably still use ClickFunnels until I guess I figure out, High Level and they replace that, one of these days. But right now it's those few programs, but it'll be High Level here before long.
Perfect. And so what happens when someone else asks the question, like what happens with the fulfillment process? Like you just say like, oh, we got a deal, and then you hand it to the person next to you and then they build it out, or like, how does that fulfillment process look like for you?
So my lady that sends out all the text messages, she's also the one that sends out the client intake email. So basically every conversation I have with these people, I let them know, they use, oh, what's next? What do we do next? Okay, well, cool. I'm gonna send you an invoice. So I'll type out the invoice and send it to them. As soon as I get that back, you're gonna get an email from my assistant. It's gonna be a client intake email that's gonna have a brief questionnaire with everything that I need from your business, so I can start crafting your campaign. It also requests like pictures, shows you how to approve access to your Facebook page. And we'll even send you some reference pictures for what we need. Once we get that back, we can start building it out. If you guys have any questions, let us know. If not, we'll keep you updated the whole way. But I get that intake form back. It's just a Google Forms document. And then I will pass that off to like my people that build out the campaigns. And they just literally go line by line, copy, paste, put together the little, stuff. It's pretty streamlined.
It's so funny. Like fundamentally, I feel like a lot of your success has come from simply from charging more and having a higher dollar-driven offer. Once you find out that you can just charge more for your stuff, everything else lines up. Like you can afford to pay somebody to build out your stuff. You can afford to have somebody replying back your text messages. You can afford to have the Google Forms lady and do all that stuff, right? If you're charging more, you just have a lot more bandwidth and managerial thinking to get stuff done. And for everybody watching this, I want to issue a personal challenge. What if you just charged the next pitch, let's just say $22.50. Let's just say you just pitched $22.50. And then magically, all of a sudden, you're going to sign not every client, but 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4. And you will have the back-end capability, and you can pay those people to get stuff done time and time again, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and the people that you're quoting $1,000 or $1,500 for, those weren't even like my ideal candidate. It's like when I started charging more, that's when I started finding the people that were like, okay. And then like you just said, you have a lot more capacity to do a lot of things. Like I can farm out the work a lot easier. And that's probably what helps me scale a lot quicker. And I didn't even kind of realize that until you just said that, because I started charging high from the beginning. So I didn't really have those, bottlenecks before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And that's one of the bigger challenges. And it's a catch-22. Like, how do I charge more if I don't have results or previous results or case studies? You simply say it's this amount of money.
Yeah, I didn't have any case studies, results, nothing. I didn't lie. I told them, they asked me, oh, have you run ads for this type of business? I was like, oh, I haven't run ads for that type of business before. No, but it's not something I don't think I can figure out. I think I can figure that out. And they were cool with that. I was just honest. So no case study, no nothing.
And I use the phrase, no, I've never done it for your business before. Are you okay with that? And then 99% of the time they say, yeah, I just was curious.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
That's it. So absolutely fantastic. We're going to bring the sucker to a close. For the 3 people that Jeff and I will pick, you're going to get an intro message between the 3 of us. But Jeff Lopez, great job. Don't hang up. We're just going to end the broadcast so that we're still no longer public. Again, great job. I'm super psyched for you, super proud. Everybody, see you later.